I'm here to talk about my last video that was posted that was about Tyler's Tarot. I don't know what all went on there with you all. I wanted to give you my side of it and my perspective of it. I wasn't aware of so many things during this time. I want to start by saying that in 2018, there were two 33-degree Masons here, there where my daughter lives, and they were here to teach me and my children about our spiritual gifts and how to use them the right way. That's what they said. I really didn't have any other choice but to believe them. I knew that I was on a spiritual path at that time, and I wasn't sure of all the details of it, which Mark and Vince were not very forthcoming with those answers. So my kids had met them. Mark was really kind and he was helping us out. My daughter had some bills to pay and he made sure that he paid them. And Mark and Vince were just weird. I don't want to go too far into that because that's not what this is about. They were just there. They did know spiritual practices and they were very good at the practices that they knew. Vince was a cartomancer. And Mark, he could put you down with a car accident spell. So that's them. I have been watching Tyler's Tarot, I think from 2017. And I would just go there like maybe once every 3 or 4 months to see what cancer was going on. And I kept going there and I kept hearing his readings. And there was always this third party situation going on there. I had broken up with a boyfriend of mine and I wasn't dating anybody. And I probably went and seen him for maybe another 6 months. I would stop in and see what it said for cancer. Whenever I stopped in, though, it was usually pretty interesting because he was either trolling his own trolls or he was having an episode of Tourette's, which usually ended in crazier than a shithouse rat and some other choice, colorful words. So I had stopped watching him for a long time because I didn't really get the third party situation there with that. And I went on and found, other cancer readings that were more or less about the journey that we were on. And basically, they were kind of sort of guiding us through our shadow work at the time, which was difficult to get through. They were kind of guiding us, the other tarot readers that I went to after Tyler's Tarot were kind of guiding us through our spiritual journey and, just letting us know shadow work, things like that. What was happening. I didn't really understand like who the kings or queens were in tarot while I was there, and I still don't, because I would associate someone like that with feelings, and you don't do that in tarot. So I really didn't get who these characters were, or if they did pertain to my life at the time. I really didn't know. And I wasn't aware of that. But by 2018, 2019, I had gotten COVID, and that had affected my senses pretty bad. I was also being energy harvested, unbeknownst to me, by Mark and Vince. So I was very low energy, and I was pretty much doing my artwork. I was still able to walk around the park, and I was out and about being social for the most part. And I had stayed that way for a bit. I had started getting stalked online by 2020, and I was just watching videos at that time. I hadn't made any yet. And somebody was, there online watching me. I just knew it. Somebody had hacked in. And I assumed at the time that it was Vince. And I'm sure Vince did hack in, because he sure did know a lot of things about me. So did Mark. They knew way too much about me when I met them. And as far as I knew, and what they were portraying, was that they had never met me before. I did know about Mark prior to this, but my experience with him prior to this was erased at the time I met him, but it did come back to me, and it was terrifying for another day. But, anyways, going back to Tyler's Tarot, so I kept, after a while, I went back there and I started watching his readings, and I really was curious as to who this third party was in Cancer because I didn't have any boyfriends. I was choosing at that time to be celibate and to remain celibate on my journey because it would just be much easier for me to do the meditations and all of that. I did want a boyfriend, and in 2019, I was going to hook up with a twin flame. But by the time 2020 came around, I was hearing news about someone that Mother Mary and Father God had been looking for who was, considered also a twin flame. But I was supposed to help him in this lifetime. And so I was going to date and was dating, in the process of dating, a minor at the time. And when I got this news from Mark and Vince, I was told that my ex was in hell and his name starts with a B. I don't really want to do that right now with the names, but his name starts with a B. And I was told that, and I believed it. So me and the minor, we parted ways. He was going to stay and learn because there was a dragon named Trinity that was with me that was also teaching us. And so, this is so hard to talk about because it's so weird. Hold on just a second. Let me gather my thoughts. Okay. So, I did, keep going over there to Tyler's tarot readings and other people's readers. I wasn't stalking him, though. I just wanted to know what the deal was because other readers were saying that Cancer had a third-party situation. And I knew that I wasn't dating anybody, but then I started hearing about spiritual spousing, which I didn't really get that either. There was a lot of red flags around, but I just really didn't get it because I was really inundated with black magic spells of confusion. I was being blocked. My third eye was being messed with constantly. My solar plexus and my sacral chakra and my root chakra were being constantly drained, period. So I was being inundated with that while I was trying to figure out what was going on, when I didn't have a boyfriend. Why was this third party there? And I just kept wanting to know the answer to that. And I started hearing about spiritual spouses, and this is something that I guess can happen to you unbeknownst. You don't know that it's happened, okay? Somebody comes in, they claim you as their wife, whatever. I don't really, to the day, haven't had anybody clearly explain it to me. And that really should not be allowed with anybody without their permission or knowledge. It really shouldn't. But anyways, so they said that. And then, carrying on, there was all of that spiritual warfare going on. Plus, I was trying to keep up with my spirituality and figure out where we were on the journey, what were we supposed to be doing. Shadow work, I was like, yeah, I'm here for that all day, every day. And I didn't really understand that maybe there were things that I had not dealt with in the past. But I was figuring that out, slowly but surely. And then, after that, I was wondering about this big guy in hell. So I did everything I could to help him get out, and he did. His spirit got out, and then his spirit came to visit me. And the only way I knew is because of the telepathy that he and I shared, and we would use telepathy because in 3D he was married, so that's why we weren't together. So he was hanging out with me like he was no longer married. There were there was another. I had a half sister that had a crush on him, and she was certainly there in the spiritual realm, checking him out and seeing who that was. So I have no idea if it was truly him or not. It could have been anybody, and I mean that because I couldn't see them. And again, with COVID, it affected many of my senses. I wasn't able to sense everything as well as I am right now. Okay? So I was just like, it was a hot mess, whatever it was. And it didn't work out with me and Bill. It didn't work out with me and the minor. And so it didn't seem like, the love life was going to work out for me. And I kind of pretty much just let it go and more or less focused on doing my art. I started my channel and I started doing my spiritual work there. And I was making videos about what was going on in real time in my life. And every time I would hit a nerve, I would get attacked. And it did seem like it was straight up coming from, my cell phone and through the screen. I couldn't guarantee that, but I'm pretty sure that was happening. And quite often too. And it wasn't good at all. But I went on and I started hearing these things, these rumors around town, as you do. And I wondered what was going on with that. Well, in telepathy, Tyler Sarro came up a few times because he really was a talented reader, and I do feel like I talked to him on telepathy. But it wasn't like about love or anything like that. It was literally about the spiritual journey. And that's it. I did not give any indications that I was, going to date him or anything at all, because I felt like because we were both tarot readers, I should keep it professional, right? I mean, why bring on more BS when I've already had several issues with men in my life? And usually I have been attracting, abusers and narcissists. There were a lot of curses on me. So I just had decided to be single. And I don't know if he knew that or not. I'm finding out that he may not have known that. But he didn't make it crystal clear that he wanted that with me, okay? And I did talk to him a few times in telepathy. As far as I know, it was him. But there was, again, nobody was flirting here. There was no exchange of nothing. I've never been on a date with him. I've never met him in real life. I've never talked to him on the phone. With telepathy and your third eye being messed with, it may or may not have been him, too. To be fair, there were plenty of mimics running around in this situation. So, that being said, apparently something was going on there with this, and some readers and people were lying about me and about Tyler, as far as I know, because I really didn't date him or anyone else. I have been alone and isolated for quite a while. But it's been 8 years since I've dated anybody or had sex with anyone. And right now, because of the situation and how very, very bad it got, I'm, choosing to remain single until that person shows up and I see them eye to eye and face to face in real time, or it's a no-go for me, period. Because I'm to the point that I don't trust anybody. The cyber stalking that happened online was drop dead serious. It really was. And I don't ever wish this on anyone. It really was bad. Because it was like somebody was watching me shit piss, and they knew every single time I did, and they were really keeping tabs on me. And it really was not cool at all. Nobody deserves to have their privacy invaded on this level, to where they're paying people to come and spy on me in my home, pretending to be friends and lying to my children. lying to me. I mean, it got horrible here. There's just no denying that. It was as bad as it could possibly get, and trying to file charges on anybody, the police were not willing to do that. And I've said it before. They were not helping me because there were Masons here, Eastern Stars, there was Illuminati, there was some misogynistic men, there was, several families that decided to come on out and give it a try to unalive someone, to take their life. And all in the name of greed, I hear. I wouldn't know. I'm in isolation. I'm still on my spiritual journey. And I know on this spiritual journey that I'm on, the one thing you should never do is react to anything. You should always just wait and see, because everybody's got their own side of the story to tell. And if you haven't talked to somebody and they didn't tell you themselves personally that they're a hooker or a prostitute, maybe you shouldn't believe other people that tell you that until you talk to the person that it's being said about. But notice how that person has never been in the room to defend themselves when people are gossiping about them. Notice that. And it's very unfair and wrong, because these people, whomever they are, they put me on government watch lists. I have been literally hit with military grade energy weapons. And it's not right. It has taken its toll on me. It has caused injury to my body. Radiation burns are real, and they don't go away easy. Curses are real. Again, they don't go away easy either. But deciding to be God in somebody's life, that is going to be all hell and then some for anyone who chooses to do that, because you shouldn't. You don't want that in your own life being brought to you by a human being that doesn't like you because of what you believe in or because of what you look like. Don't ever judge that book by its cover, because inside it could be in depth and it could be something that's here to help you. But pride and ego often get in our way. It has mine many times, which is why I've had to learn most of my lessons the hard way, because I wouldn't listen. And now I sit back and I observe and I listen before I take action against anyone. Again, there's many sides to the same story, but until the people that are being talked about come forward and tell the truth, you shouldn't accuse them of crimes they didn't commit. You shouldn't keep throwing them under a bus that they've crawled out from under by themselves for many, many years. I'm trying to help people out on their spiritual journeys, because if you're a psychic medium or somebody that works with divination, it's a very difficult journey. And without having anybody there to help you, it can get pretty hairy and messy. And it can completely and totally annihilate you if you allow it. You're supposed to be on this journey with your spiritual team. You're supposed to be learning about your spiritual gifts and how to use them the right way. That's what those that are here, that are getting their psychic education the hard way, apparently, at the School of Hard Knocks, suffered it and survived it, and it's time to stop unaliving them, because they're not dead. They're right here. They're quite alive. They're making their videos, and they're going on with life, as we all should. I have asked God to do some favors for me, for some people out there. God knows I have a shit ton of good karma. And I have made a choice to spend some of my good karma on some of you out there that have no way out other than this. And I've asked God to give it to you. And I know He will do this for me because I do have faith in Him. And I do trust Him. He's always been here with me this whole time. I haven't had to worry about a single attack because He's had my ass covered the whole time. And I can promise you no one else has. So when I say I'm grateful to God, I'm grateful to Him because He is the reason why I am drawing breath and able to even speak right now. If it were not for Him, I know I would have died and perished a long time ago. And anybody that grew up with me and knows me, they know that's true too. I'm grateful to be someone who is used by God and who has the ability to help out people who just can't seem to love themselves enough to want to help themselves out. Because what I'm dealing with on my spiritual path is eternity, too. And I'm trying to work with God to make sure that that eternity does not entail hell or jail. Makes sense, right? If you have spiritual gifts, you can get leveled off into hell quick and easy, because the type of spiritual gifts that a psychic medium has are easily corrupted, which is why I'm isolated and alone with God. And that's also why I don't know very much about my gifts, my power, because it keeps my ego in check. It keeps my pride in check. And I want that. I want to remain balanced, even keeled and even flowing, so that I can share the gifts that I have with everyone as they were meant to be shared. But I can't get there if I can't heal, and I'm constantly inundated with harvesters. And my children are constantly being harmed as well. It doesn't make any of this any easier to do. And I am asking for it to stop, because I don't hate anyone and I don't have any enemies. My enemies made me their enemy. They made God their enemy. I don't make people my enemies. I make my anger my enemy, and I stomp it out. And I sit and I listen and I give things thought before I act in a negative way towards anyone. I try, when it comes to God, to act in truth. And this is what I know about my situation with Tyler's Tarot. There were many other things that occurred here. I mean, we're just scratching the surface on this one. But I was really mishandled there. And if anybody would have talked to me, I would have told you the truth. There was a few people out there that I sent emails to or letters and wrote them a paragraph trying to describe what was happening. But because I was hacked, I really couldn't get very many responses. Like, this has really cut me off dang near from the whole world. The only communication I have right now is my videos. And I don't think anybody deserves to live like this at all. I hope this clears the air on some things. I don't want to keep on going. I'm getting tired. And I have a full day ahead tomorrow. So, I'll be bringing you all another reading soon. And God bless. And for anybody that really got hurt in this, unalived, I am very sorry that this situation has caused so much pain to so many. I really am. But it is my hope that God will be able to help you all with that. And it's my hope that people will see the true miracles live in me, and that God is real and He does care. But you got to choose to care about you and stop worrying about what other people think. It's none of your business. Worry about you. Isn't that enough? God bless.